When you think you got a great deal on a used car, think again. There's a good reason why some cars lose their value much quicker than others. They may seem like a dream, but they quickly turn into a nightmare with sky-high repair costs and constant breakdowns. Avoid headaches and do not buy these unreliable cars that often cannot even last 50,000 miles. Jeep Wrangler. The Wrangler has always been loved for its timeless design and unparalleled off-road performance, but only is new. On the used car market, it's a thing to be avoided, as it enjoys a reputation as one of the least reliable vehicles around. Problems are numerous, and maybe we could start with the infamous death wobble caused by worn suspension and steering components, which usually arises already at 50,000 miles. Or maybe we could talk about transmission problems that can occur already after 80,000 miles and can be very expensive to repair. Leaks from seals or gaskets are also common, and in some cases can become noticeable around 60 to 70,000 miles. When we talk about specific model years, the previous generation, known as JK, is problematic in particular. There were multiple recalls between 2007 and 2014, while the 2012 model is notorious for engine stalling and misfires. Electrical issues trouble pretty much every Wrangler, while models from 2007 to 2011 also had frequent recalls for sway bar disconnect and transmission overheating. If you're in the used market, you should definitely look for 2015 or newer models, as they turned out to be less problematic. Mercedes-Benz GLE. Mercedes-Benz and German premium cars are generally known for high maintenance costs, particularly at higher mileage, but the problem with the GLE is that it turns into a money pit much earlier than you would normally expect. Models produced between 2016 and 2018 are problematic in particular, with numerous electrical issues. The advanced air suspension system turned out to be quite problematic as well. Still, by far the biggest problem is with the infamous M76 V6 engine used in the GLE 350 and GLE 450 models. Avoid these models at any cost because they start suffering from excessive oil consumption at pretty low mileage, sometimes after only 50,000 miles due to faulty piston rings and valve seals. The rest of the powertrain lineup isn't flawless either, considering that almost every engine the company was rolling out between 2015 and 2018 had problems with timing chain and camshaft, which would lead to rattling already at 60,000 miles. Turbochargers tend to fail pretty often too, no matter the engine, once again particularly in models produced between 2016 and 2018. According to Consumer Reports, the 2019 model and models after 2022 turned out to be way more reliable, so look for these if you're still interested in this fancy-looking premium SUV. Ford Explorer. The Explorer has always been one of the most popular SUVs on the market due to its spacious and practical design, but it's also one of the most problematic models around. The most persistent issue by far has been transmission failure. Models from the early 2000s would typically require a transmission replacement before 100,000 miles. Although significantly cheaper to fix, wheel bearings are another common problem of Explorer models from the same era and would usually occur already at 85,000 miles. Newer generations brought new problems, particularly with the introduction of EcoBoost engines. Models between 2011 and 2016 suffered from water pump failures, which would lead to catastrophic engine damage, while steering failures are another thing that could easily lead to repair costs that measure in thousands of dollars. The current generation is less prone to catastrophic failures, but it's not without flaws. Build quality remains one of the key concerns, with bad assembly, water leaks, and interior issues, particularly malfunctioning electronics. In short, do yourself a favor and get a Highlander. Nissan Sentra. Small economy cars are usually a safe choice if you need a cheap and reliable ride, but not if you pick the Nissan Sentra. Unlike the Corolla or Civic, which are some of the most reliable cars around, the Sentra has been problematic for a long time. It mostly comes down to the transmission, particularly CVT, which has been installed since the early 2010s. Loss of power, shuddering, and complete breakdown. All these things would happen way under 100,000 miles, requiring costly replacements. Furthermore, older generations had engine issues, particularly models from 2004 and 2005, which became notorious for head gasket failures. Newer generations, particularly 7th and 8th, have been criticized for noisy suspension and inconsistent steering problems, while premature paint degradation has been troubling more recent models as well. Jeep Grand Cherokee. The Grand Cherokee seems like a natural choice for midsize SUV shoppers with its blend of practicality, luxury, and off-road performance. But in reality, it usually turns out to be a nightmare for owners due to low reliability scores. Models between 2011 and 2015 are problematic in particular with electrical and suspension issues, while engines have never been too reliable either. The 2011 model year is definitely one to avoid: fuel pump, engine starting failures, and electrical systems. The Grand Cherokee became notorious for issues with the so-called totally integrated power module and never solved electrical problems. Fuel tank issues, infotainment issues, but above anything else, the Grand Cherokee suffers from engine issues. The base 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 was vulnerable in early versions, with cylinder head failure occurring already at 50,000 miles. The 5.7-liter Hemi suffers from premature lifter failure, occurring already at 80,000 miles, and it looks like Jeep never solved that issue that can be quite costly to repair. When it comes to older models, the 4.7-liter V8 had big problems with overheating and premature engine wear, so no matter the production year, expect issues and be very careful when checking a used example that may seem well preserved but actually hides a lot of potential trouble. Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid. Chrysler's never been famous for reliability, but the moment it introduced the Pacifica Hybrid, things went from bad to worse. It brought an overly complicated plug-in hybrid system that was never built properly, so issues were numerous, starting from electrical systems, transmission, and engine problems occurring at pretty low mileage. Earlier models are known for early failures of battery systems, while owners also reported engine stalling. Transmission has been problematic for all model years, with sudden unintended acceleration, and while that problem was solved eventually, issues of other kinds remained persistent. And while more recent model years improved their overall reliability score, the Pacifica Hybrid is still nowhere near as reliable as the Japanese classmates Sienna and Odyssey. Volkswagen Jetta. A German car doesn't have to be luxurious to be unreliable. Just look at a variety of Volkswagen models and their reliability scores. And if we have to point out a single model, that would be one of the top sellers, the Jetta. The compact sedan has been famous for its refinement and build quality, but it's way too problematic to be considered a good choice on the used market. Models from the late 2000s and early 2010s are problematic in particular with their dual-clutch transmission that's very expensive to maintain and eventually breaks anyway. Rough shifting, delayed engagement, and eventual complete failure. All these things would occur at low mileage and usually cost a fortune to repair. Engine problems like oil sludge buildup, which can clog the oil passages, leading to engine failure, can occur at already 70,000 miles in the case of the 1.8-liter Turbo 4, while the earlier variants of the 2.0-liter Turbo have been notorious for their water pump troubles, which would occur already at 50,000 miles. Reports suggest that the reliability score has improved significantly with the 7th generation, which switched to the MQB platform, so models after 2019 would be the ones to go with. Lincoln Aviator. The Aviator definitely isn't the best choice in the used premium SUV market due to a broad range of reliability concerns. Engine stalling, transmission issues, electrical malfunctions. These issues come from Ford's poor quality control and faulty components like fuel pumps, ignition coils, mass airflow sensors, etc. Dead batteries, malfunctioning alternators, and wiring problems, all these things tend to occur at surprisingly low mileage. The twin-turbo 3-liter V6 has been problematic in particular due to its complex design, which would occasionally lead to problems with power delivery and premature wear, while the transmission has been problematic in particular. Models produced in 2020 and newer had engine problems, but are also prone to suspension issues, which can often lead to costly repairs. And while we talk about costly repairs, it's worth noting that the Aviator's average repair costs are higher compared to most classmates, which inevitably leads to higher than expected ownership costs. Toyota RAV4 early 2010s. Even the most reliable ones are not immune to failure. Although usually celebrated as one of the most reliable SUVs around, the RAV4 also had a couple of problematic years between 2010 and 2013. Believe it or not, those were the years when Toyota had engine issues, such as excessive oil consumption, which would typically occur at around 100,000 miles due to faulty piston rings and valve seals causing the engine to burn more oil than normal. In some cases, although rarely, this even led to engine damage, and some owners have had to replace the engine entirely. Another common issue among RAV4s from this era is the failure of oxygen sensors, which monitor air-to-fuel sensors, which could significantly impact fuel economy. Once again, the problem would occur at low mileage, at least when we talk about Toyota standards, with around 100,000 miles on the clock. Complaints about steering and suspension can be found here and there, so we presume it's best to avoid models produced between 2010 and 2013, as the company managed to get back on track and, once again, offer extraordinary reliability with models produced in later years up to these days. What do you think of our list of unreliable cars that definitely aren't worth buying? Did some models surprise you, or do you think we missed something? Let us know about your experience with some of these unreliable cars and, of course, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you next time.